Hello and welcome to In the Pocket. My name's Jonny.
And my name's Chris.
Two totally average bass players, and we're here to talk all about that bass. As well as answering your questions at home, each week we take a look at the latest news and maybe break down some tones, or to give you the lowdown on the low end. Today we welcome to the stand, all the way from Deutschland, creator, writer, content king if you please, from Bass the World, it's Gregor Fris. Gregor, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, you were on our list of people we wanted to get on at some point. You know, all being content creators online, but never properly crossed paths before. So it's so good to finally meet you and have you on. Where are you at the moment, and how's your day going?
I'm here in Weimar in my studio where all the Bass the World stuff happens, where I also live, and I'm working I'm working on a script which is still on the screen for funny bass, which I can show you later. And I'm in the middle of a work day right now. Yeah,
living the dream. My goodness, just
kinda, yeah.
Kinda.
I can't complain. No, it's amazing. Absolutely. Yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, in order to get to know you a little bit more, Gregor, we're going to ask you 3 quick intro questions, if that's all right.
Sure.
The first one is, what is your number one bass?
I think my P bass, Visual Deal P bass, sitting there, the cream one, the third one.
Oh, yes. Is it a custom shop one?
Visual Deal is a whole custom. I mean, all he does is custom shop. So there's it's just one guy. He does everything by hand. There's not much machines involved, as far as I know. And I mean, it's not it was based on a normal P bass that he already made, and then we made some changes. And now it's a Bass the World bass which you can buy it. And it's still P bass. I mean, there's nothing special about it except for little things that make it special to me. But I don't know. Some other people love it as well, so that's good. Yeah.
I've seen it in a couple of videos, and it's always, when I see that bass, I know we're in for a good time. Normally, you know.
It sounds there's such good mids and such a full tone. It's so good. Like, out of all the P basses I've ever tried, this is by far my favorite. And yeah, since I have it, I'm not really interested in P basses anymore. And that's when you know when you made it, like when you found it.
Yeah.
And I loved it. Yeah.
That's when you know, when you get a certain, like, whether it's like a jazz bass, a P bass, or like a Stingray, and you go, okay, I have no interest in this, in pursuing another one of these basses ever again. It's like box ticked, like job done.
I've almost all the boxes. I mean, this is kind of deep into the fields or in the weeds already, but I've ticked almost all the boxes now, so I don't really buy that much basses or buy basses anymore, honestly, because I've done this for so long that I've accumulated such good gear that it doesn't get much better. Yeah.
You've completed it, mate. Absolutely.
I've completed the journey. I've moved on to other hobbies now. Yeah.
This is nothing to me. Soon you'll be like throwing them out the window. Like this fedora means nothing to me.
Well, I think you should extend the Bass the World brand. So your new hobby, if it's it's swimming,
barbecues the world,
swim the world.
Swim the world.
Swim the world. Oh my God, Gregor, you have to do that. You're going to swim the entire channel. Wow.
I'm not going to do that. No, actually,
world exclusive.
I don't really love to talk about it because it's kind of a posh hobby, but there's like Mary Spender. I'm sure you know her, like British YouTuber.
Yeah,
also.
Very well. My next door
neighbor. She moved on to kind of becoming a watch YouTuber, which I find very interesting. She's a guitar player and makes like all kinds of videos, and she got into wristwatches like a year ago, and now she's kind of moved on, and it works.
I'll just leave you guys to it, because Chris is the man.
Do you like watches?
They know what.
We're gonna be friends. Hang on a minute. Where is it? Oh yeah,
we're 2 minutes in, guys. We've derailed it already.
Oh, nice. Oh, wow. Very same watch.
I used to work for Omega in a past life. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm a big watch nerd, like big watch nerd. Jonny, it's been nice to see you. This podcast is over now.
This one is a £30 Casio.
There is nothing wrong with that. There is nothing. Anyone who is a watch hobbyist and says like anything under £1,000 is rubbish, not a watch enthusiast, in my opinion.
No.
My favorite watch, genuinely, well, it is actually this one. But I have a joke watch, which is just a fake little crap watch that has a picture of Val Kilmer's Batman as the dial. And it says, and my friend wrote with sticky tape, Rolex Batman, and gave it to me for my 23rd birthday.
Awesome.
Which is quite good.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Passed away today, Val Kilmer, yeah. Gutted, absolutely gutted. But yeah, watches, cool. Yeah. Let's not do this. I will do an hour on watches without taking a breath.
I can do all day. Yeah, that's the issue. Honestly, I thought about this for years if I could transition at some point, because this might get boring. I mean, it sounds weird to say that, but it's just like it's a super exciting job, but it's very repetitive in a way also.
Yeah. And you don't know what the landscape will look like, in the future. Like,
that's another thing. And moving on to other topics. But on the other hand, bass is so amazing because it's such a small fraction of an already small fraction of the market, of the music instrument market. So there's not really, I mean, there's no one else literally like doing what I'm doing. I mean, there are other bass channels and other gear review channels, but none that I know that do this full time. And which is already weird. Like, I think I'm the only channel who does this professionally, like for a living with an employee and full time. And like everyone else does it kind of on the side. And, which already separates, I think, the Bass World channel from most other channels in the genre. But, but I never know if I go to move on to a bigger topic where there's a bigger market share for other things. But there's like hundreds of channels suddenly. I would have to compete with, and I'm not sure if I'm willing to see that.
Well, it's different though. I think a lot of this comes down to the fact that you've collected basses and you enjoy basses as a hobbyist, and then now you've moved into a more of an interest in things like watches, for example. You've just the passion is exactly the same. You've just changed subjects. It's like you could be really into cars, barbecue equipment, postage stamps. It's all the exact hell yeah. It's the exact same thing. It's like people who collect guitars, people like trainers. Like, have you seen how many Instagram accounts there are that are people who just collect like 90s New Balance shoes? I'm like, my uncle had like 200 of them in the 90s, just threw them all away, and now they're worth like £500.
Yeah.
It's the same passion, isn't it? Like it's a love of knowledge of a subject and collecting things
And the problem is when you move from being a hobbyist to doing this professionally, kind of the hobby goes away, but I think that's always the case. Because I find it saddening, like frequently, that I'm not really bass player anymore, but it's just logical. Like why would I? I mean, if I had a band or like if I was an active musician, things would look a bit differently. But this is like all I do all day. I'm around basses. I'm around bassists. I'm like, After hours, after work, I'm not really interested in anything bass anymore. So, which is just, I mean, if you spend all day with them, it just goes away, and then you move on to mind looks for other things to cherish and to get into, and I think that's what happened to me. Yeah.
Well, me and Jonny just do this for the money, obviously.
Yeah, 100%. We're raking in the cash.
Absolutely. There's a point I want to talk to you about the channel specifically, but before we do that, Jonny, ask the final quickfire question, or are we still on question 2?
We're on number 2, boys. We're doing well.
Love this.
Number
Every
2,
guest, it's exactly the same.
Will be describe your bass playing in 3 words.
Intense, dynamic, and not much.
We'll put a hyphen for not.
The hyphen, yeah.
It's one word.
Wow. I want you to explain intense. Like, do you do it when you're camping?
No, not.
Sorry.
Crazy. No, intense in a way. I mean, I hear a lot of bass players like coming through here. And even more, of course, when I go to shows and when I just watch YouTube and stuff. I think I'm not a really good bass player when it comes to like being super focused in time, and I don't know much about music theory and all these kind of like sheet music is lost on me and these sort of things. But I've learned over the years I'm a really good dynamic player, and I know very well how to get certain sounds out of a bass. That's what because I've never been a professional musician, but I've been like the bass guy who sells you basses for like 20 years already. So that's my over 20 years now. So that's my job for has been for a long time. And I've learned specifically to play bass in music shops, which sounds weird, but just to get something specific out of them, to demo what they're good at and these sort of things. So my playing is a bit more, I think I play louder than most bass players who come here to the studio. And but not louder to be like for the sake of loudness, but just because I know how to play a bass to make it sound the best it can. That's something that I'm really good at, which would be super helpful here if I was a better bass player. So if I was like my skills and my creativity were on a level that I could frequently play here, but I can't really. It's not. I can't do that.
Appreciate the honesty in that. And we said at the start of this podcast, we're two totally average bass players, and I think that's kind of important when it comes to demoing as well. And you do that so well with demoing stuff on YouTube, and I think the channel is amazing.
Thank you.
And we're both big fans. The last quickfire question, which will take us on to our next section, is: so why the bass? Why did you pick up the bass?
As so often, it just happened to me. I think that's what happens to many bass players. So I used to play guitar. I grew up in church and was a church musician. Did all kinds of choir stuff and with all kinds of like different music styles. Also, we had a musical director at church. Basically, he was hired there, which is kind of rare here in Germany to have that. And he did this full time, and he started all kinds of kids choirs and youth choirs, all kinds of bands and stuff, just to keep young people like making music. And he, I think I was good enough at guitar, so he used me a lot. So we drove around to many different things, and at some point it was just like, hey, often I need a bass player. Bass is a bit more important than guitar in many situations, so could you also play bass here and there? And I was in a gospel choir, playing in gospel choir, and at the same time, like, the former bass player went away, and they just gave me the bass and said, it's you now. And gospel, you kind of have to, it's not just like root note stuff anymore, you kind of have to do something. So I guess I was a good enough player to be able to do that, and that's when I really got into bass. Like, and then I was like 18 at the time. And then I was working in a music shop, and a friend of mine, like a customer there, was a bass player also. And as soon as he learned that I'm a bass player now, he just brought me a bunch of CDs with like Richard Bona, Markus Müller, Victor Wooten, Primus, all the good bass solo stuff, all the good bass focus stuff. And I listened through these CDs and could never go back after that. Like, especially after listening to Victor Wooten, Show of Hands, like this whole album, which is iconic, like the best solo bass album that has ever been made. I listened to this and I was like, that's what I want to sound like. I play guitar. I've played guitar for such a long time, as it is young age, of course, whatever is a long time back then. But it's like, always felt like that's kind of what I want to sound like. That's much more. So I sold all my guitars, bought a Warwick Streamer Stage 1, like a 89, like a really good bass, which belonged to my employer back then, basically. So it was his bass from his active musician days. I bought this, put a set of new strings on, and yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I mean, there are worse basses to sort of go, yep, that's it, done.
No, I mean, I had other basses before, of course. Like the stuff that I played in church wasn't great. It was like Aria Pro. No, actually, it wasn't bad. Aria Pro 2 bass, like a PJ with a metal headstock, which is bent down, like these sort of things, like a Kramer guitar. Actually, good bass. But of course, can't really compare. Like the Warwick was amazing, actually. And it's kind of like, I don't... like, I sell basses all the time because it gets too many, but this is one of the few basses I really regret selling because it was incredible. Yeah, but it had to go.
We've all got one that we regret selling. I've got two that I regret selling.
Yeah, two also for me. It's another one. A LeFay also.
Yeah. It is a sad time when that happens. When you just like the instant regret often as well. You're just like, I know this is wrong. My gut tells me it's wrong, but I have to, and whatnot. But hey, there we go.
Yeah. I always, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, but I always try to make a very like smart decisions when it's like I also see like the money that's standing there, and I always calculating is it worth it? Do I need all these thousands of euros? Do they need to be in form of bases here, or could they be somewhere else in other forms? And that's when these sort of things sometimes happen, because you don't need a base at the moment, but like half a year later, that wasn't absolutely worth it.
Yeah.
Before, I sold the Warwick for 750 euros, which is like when these go used today, it's like 2K or something like that. And yeah, it's sad.
Yeah, it's not even the same value, but I got rid of a classic vibe jazz bass.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Just a classic vibe jazz bass, but I only realized like in the months after selling it on, I started having loads of work come in. Like I have like gigging work or recording where I was thinking, God, a jazz bass would be great right now for this kind of thing. I don't own any basses that are like a 2 pickup jazz configuration.
Okay.
I have a bass, a PJ bass, but it's not quite the same. And it's like, I wish I still had that. Like, and it was actually a really nice bass. And it's not even been, I know exactly where it is. It's just not been sold on, but I'm not allowed it back. And I'm like, oh.
I even had a deal with the guy I sold the Warwick to, and said, if I really want it back, like within a year, you will sell it back to me for the same price. And he refused to do it. So,
it's like, I can't.
but it's, I can understand.
Where is he? We'll find him.
It's he's probably, I mean, he could be dead by now. It was really old man by back then, and I'm looking into like the German versions of Craigslist through frequently to find it, because it has a very specific thing, this Warwick. So I could find it again out of hundreds. It has like a misstamped serial number, and they just stamped the other serial number just on top of it. And this happened a few times. I've seen it more, but like every time I've seen it, like the specs were wrong, so that wasn't mine. But I mean, I will find it at some point. I like all the bases that you've ever sold will come back to the market at some point. Like we all are not like the oldest generation, and like the older generation is dying, and they have a lot of bases, so everything's coming back.
You'll be lying in wait, be hiding in the shadows.
Yeah, one
is
of
he
my
dead yet? Calling the wives. Is he dead yet?
Any day now.
If that guy's alive and he dies due to mysterious circumstances, you are means, motive, and opportunity.
This is the evidence.
And
See
this
you
is
in
the
court.
evidence. Yeah.
Just watch the videos. Is the base there? Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Well, I want to know then how then this translated to the channel we know today, and along that journey of YouTube and all of this, like, what did you expect to be here right now doing YouTube
With us?
I mean, yes and no. As I said, I worked in retail before, so I worked in a music shop, like in Eastern Germany, where I'm from, and I'm back now. Then I used to work in Frankfurt am Main, where like the big city with the big airport, for a few years, and led the bass department of Musik Schmidt, which was back then the biggest physical shop in Germany. Like, it was an amazing shop. We had like 600-700 basses in the shop, like just to try out, not just like in the stock, like on display, which was amazing.
Wow.
And I got to manage it all. I got to buy basses. I got to, I was 20 at the time, and I had like guys under me who were like age of my parents, basically, which was a crazy thing for me, because I'm not entirely sure why I got this job, but I guess I was qualified enough to and trusted enough to be put in this role at this young age. And that's how I got to know all these brands and got to know all these distributors and all these key persons that you need to know if you want to start your own business or something like that. And during the time when I was there, the internet kind of started. I mean, I started working there in 2006. Yeah. So this was the time, I think Facebook was already around, YouTube was already around, but it was just happening. It was just
early
beginning.
days.
Very early days. And the day I opened, like, I didn't even have a computer back then. Because you didn't need, not everyone had one back then, because there's not so many things like today you could do with them back then. And so I bought a MacBook and an interface and started to work on this. And at the shop, we started to make demo videos, very simple, just like with a point and shoot camera, and just like a guy comes in, hey, there's this new bass. tell us something about the space, play a few licks, and then you put it on YouTube or the website or wherever. Totally shitty videos, but it got me thinking, like, this could be done better. And at the same time, I had a girlfriend, and somehow she got pregnant, and we were to become a family, basically, and she moved to Frankfurt. She's from here in Weimar, which is a beautiful small town in Germany. Very like historically loaded. It's the most amazing place I think you can live in Germany. And so I was in Frankfurt. She came to Frankfurt, and after a month, she said, like, I can't do this. I can't be here. I don't want my kids to see my kids to grow up here. So is there something we can do about it? And I was like, but I got this job, so like that's why I'm here. And so, but yeah. After some months, I think I dreamt about Bastable. That's what happened. I think I had a dream, thinking about like this could be a thing. And then since we already did it at work, I just got into recording and bought a camera and bought some gear and started trying these things. And then when I was confident I could do this, I just quit my job and then we moved back here and I started this. And I had to do this as a full-time job from day one, which was crazy, especially at this very early age of social media. So like back then, brands were not on social media yet, which you can't imagine nowadays, but back then it was. So what I did is I kind of looked into Facebook. Twitter wasn't really interesting. Now let's not even talk about it, but back then Twitter wasn't interesting. Instagram wasn't around yet. Nothing else was around yet. I mean, there was basically MySpace was probably still around, but not really important. Like Facebook was all there, was social media wise. And I looked at this platform. I thought, like, this is kind of brilliant for marketing. The marketing could be done here. And so I called my friends up from Sandberg guitars, Marlowe bass guitars, Jens Ritter, LFA, just all the German builders that I knew, like, were my friends. I said, hey, I see like a future here. So if you want, you can give me like some money every month and I run your shit. So, and that's basically, can I swear here? I guess I can.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, you can.
So that's how I started the whole thing. I just started like a Facebook page for Sandberg and for Marlowe, like all German bass brand Facebook pages. When you go there, they were all at some point started by me. Not all of them.
Wow.
Most of them, and even like international, like even some brands from other like European countries. Let's say European, not really international, but yeah. At some point, I managed like 10 different Facebook pages or something, I guess, and then over time they all. Like the whole thing became more important, they took it more seriously and took over to do these things, which was fine by me. And I'm still doing this, by the way, until today for Sandberg guitar. So when you go to Sandberg Instagram and Facebook, that's still me. Now I have a colleague like Mark Najar who used to work at CME in Chicago. Maybe you remember, and he makes amazing demos also. He's one of my best friends. And so we're doing this together now, which is great. So because he's much better at these sort of things. Honestly, he's much better at being excited about stuff and just finding quick routes to make something amazing. Where I always get a bit too in depth, and we're a good team. Yeah,
nice.
That's how all this started basically. And Bass the World was an idea of not really what it is today. At the very beginning was just me filming myself. So I just called Darkglass, for example. Like Darkglass was also just being born at this time when I started. And I think this probably one of the first times these pedals appeared on the internet was on the Bass the World channel. So when Doug sent me like one of the first pedals he had, sent them to me. And so I did a few videos, then sent them on to Dave Marks. And we were still you might know him, like this. I don't know. So he also was involved with Darkglass at this point. So yeah, I made these kind of shitty videos, just demos, just me playing, turning some knobs. But like these, I made probably 200 videos, like in the first 2 years or so. And this was the time where I figured it all out. So I like how to produce videos, which part of the figuring out part was that I shouldn't be involved in this anymore. So this could be a lot better if other people played in these videos. And that's, I think, Bass the World really started at the day René Flexenhaar walked into my studio at some point, like 10 years ago. But even before that, I already worked with other bass players. Like when you go back to the channel, there are very early videos with Lars Lehmann, who's still one of the regulars here. Or Lubyanika, a guy from Israel, became very early a good friend of mine. And he said, hey, I would like to come over from Israel and to record some videos with you. It was weird to me, but he saw potential in the whole thing. So he actually came over and we recorded a few videos, and then I invited him to Musikmesse for a few years, which doesn't exist anymore, but what used to be the biggest trade show for musical instruments. And for the first, let's say, 2 or 3 years of serious bass world, so after I was doing my stuff, so when I learned to get other people involved, like I think almost all the videos that came out of the year were shot within 1 week at Musikmesse. So we just ran around to all the booths like, hey, there's this bass or this pedal or whatever. Give us your stuff to demo, pay a little fee. And then, we did videos like in the garden at this show event thing. And you've probably seen some videos from back then. Some are super popular, like Wojtek Bilichowski, like the Polish guy, and some other players I recorded back then, just which I met, like Federico Malaman, Hadrian Ferrod, all these guys, which are always around on these trade shows. I knew all of them, so I just said, hey, if you sit down and let's do something, and recorded them all. And that's how Bass World actually became popular, like with these sort of videos. Yeah. And everything like what we're doing today is completely, I couldn't imagine that the channel could go there. I mean, I always would have loved to see or to know that it's possible, but for me, it was always like, as long as I can somehow make a living, I will do it, because I want to work with basses. And living here, after working in the music shop where I was, when you're handling like the most amazing basses, like we were really focused on high-end European builders, and we had all of them, like many of them at least. When you're working with these on this level, and then you come back to a small town with the music shops, and they just have like a few Ibanez's and a few Yamahas, and I couldn't work in the shop anymore. It's impossible. Yeah. And so that's the replacement, basically, the replacement job, which is so much better now. So, because in the meantime, like my now ex-wife, we got a few more kids over the years, and I did this for her, which I never wanted to do, and now it's so good. I have to thank her.
Yeah,
she pushed me. Yeah.
If you'd never, started a family, then the Bass the World would have never been born as a result, which is incredible. I want to talk a little bit more about, I'm going to shuffle up our order of our conversation that we were going to have with you, because you've already spoken a little bit more, and I want to delve a little deeper. And it's a question, that a lot of people, I'm sure you get asked all the time, and you've touched on it a little bit there, but I want to know about how you met some of these players as well, and what you kind of look for in a player to demo stuff on the channel. But the thing that is on everyone's minds is why don't you play bass in your videos?
I feel like, I mean, I've touched on it, as you said before. I'm a decent player. You can put me in any band and give me enough time to learn the material, and I can play probably anything, but it takes me a lot of time. What I need here is players who are really like quick on their feet. They can say, hey, I need 8 bars of clues, and I want one take, and I want it to sound perfect, and I don't want to second guess and third guess everything, because when you record yourself, you're a lot more critical on every little detail. If I record others, I just don't give a damn. So I just like, there's a lot of things I am allowing others which I would never allow myself, which just doesn't work. So for me, I figured sitting as a player here just doesn't work for me. If I was a better player, if I started to practice, I could probably do it next year, very likely. I mean, definitely I could do it, but I don't really, because I think also these other players give like these videos like a different quality, also like a second phase, and just something interesting. And also the rotating players make, I think, the whole channel a lot more interesting, and that's kind of what I'm banking on. So I've only appeared a few years ago as a speaker on the channel. Like for many years, we only did demos where I was never on the channel. Never. People didn't even know who I was, or that I was running this whole thing or producing the whole thing. But yeah, as a bass player, I'm not interested. Yeah. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I have to, but it's rarely a choice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting that way of doing it, and I think your reasoning is really solid, and to getting people in the speed, because you're pumping out a lot of content, both long form and short form. So how can you do it all? And it's so true. Like I done some filming where I'm recording someone else playing, and you're right, you don't pick up on those mistakes or that.
No, you love them.
Yeah,
sometimes you love them. Like there's a very great video on my channel, Wojtek, which I mentioned before, Wojtek Pilichowski Musikmesse 2000 whatever. And he plays the slap thing like for a minute, and there's a little mistake in the middle where and then he recognizes it, he smiles, and then he moves on. This is one of the best moments on the entire channel, is when these little mishaps happen. And
it's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true, because we do it like if me and Jonny are somewhere and we're filming each other, like demoing something, like at the guitar show last month. You just don't, like, no one cares. Like, like you make a little mistake, or it's kind of, you have a little laugh and it stays in the video, and no one really minds. But I just shot a little short form reel before we sat down today, just playing a not particularly complicated riff, just like really driven, like pick tone. And I did like 16 takes.
Yeah.
And I'll let you know a secret. The first take was fine. If
If
anything,
it's the one that you pick at the end.
It was like, well, I actually used the last take, but it was like take one was more than take one. I would argue was perfect. Yeah. Take two was even better, and then 3 to 15, no point doing them. Absolutely no point doing it. And then when I record for other people, like hired in to track bass and then send the DIs to someone, I am evil. Like, I'm horrible to myself. I do so many takes, and I'm comping stuff, and it's like everything has to be absolutely perfect. And then I go to someone's studio, and they record me, and it's like a 1 or 2 take thing, and they're like, "Yeah, cool, thanks for coming. Yeah, here's your money, job done."
What I've noticed over the years with these amazing players here is that the first take often sounds the best. They play more with more intention, or with more, I don't know what it is, but maybe or a certain uncertainty where to end with this whole lick. So they play a bit different. As soon as they have to figure it out, they play more controlled, and which often, like, the first one is always a little bit louder, sounds a little bit better, and
like more freedom.
They're playing from the heart and not the brain.
Yeah, it must be something like that. So I always. Like, there's a lot of players, especially those who haven't been like here a ton of times, but I was like, do you want the second take? Just record it, just in case. And I was like, no, why? I mean, it's just like digital garbage. Well, it was good, so let's move on. We've recorded everything. It's here. I can see it. So, and some players are really confused because I guess they always record. No matter how well they did it, they record more takes just to pick or to slice them up and put them together and these sort of things. But I don't do that. I want real performances here. There's nothing re-edited that we ever do. And so, yeah.
And you can have days where, like I know I recorded a demo on Monday of this new court bass, and I was like, playing wise, not with it. Like, it just was not working well. And like when you're doing this full time, you're on the clock. You gotta get it done quick and get it done efficiently in order to.
And when we record, there's 4 people in the room, so this is like that's on the clock. Like every time, like one of my camera operators comes too late, which he notoriously does, like half an hour. Like, I try to tell him, like, that's 1.5 hours of 3 people, like, combined, that you've just wasted. So get the shit together. I mean, he doesn't. So I've learned to adjust and I lie to him when the session starts, so I know it works. So I know it. That's how it works. But yeah, like when we record here, there's 4 people in the room. So there's the musician, there's 2 camera operators, one for shorts, one for the main cameras, and then there's me doing like audio and like telling people what to do, which is there could be more. Like, there should be one more person even to do this, like, even more professionally, or for me to really to be able to concentrate on audio, or really to concentrate on whatever's happening with the players, which would be the best. But
wow, I love that full team setup. That's the dream.
Yeah.
We're just here in our little box rooms, like moving a tripod and making sure it's like outside of the room so it can fit the shot. Things like that. That's fantastic, man.
I mean, where it belongs, it's great, but I kind of hate it now because like we're running these different kind of productions here, and like I hate when things are you have to move things around, and like what you just said, it can be you can romanticize this. It can be great when you're kind of starting out or you have a small setup or just but at some point you just want things to move. And like on recordings days, we are recording 10 to 12 videos, so that's how which is just insane, I know, but the problem is that all these bass players come like I'm living in kind of a nowhere land scenario here in Germany. So there's the closest is Phil Rehm, and he has to drive like 1.5 hours from like one state to the east from Sachsen. He's coming, but everyone else is coming from Berlin, from Hanover, like from complete like the other ends of the country, and so some of them have to drive like 5-6 hours to come here. We're using these days full because I'm paying these guys, and they're not staying for like another day, or they have other work commitments, of course. And these are also all professional bass players. They have stuff to do. It's not like these are not the kind of bass players who are sitting at home waiting for the next gig. These guys have packed like schedules. These are all the best bass players we have in Germany. So these are. I'm not sure if that comes through these videos because we don't really talk about them, but these guys you see in my videos, they play the best jobs that you get in Germany, like the TV gigs and the biggest bands, and these are all guys, these are all rock stars, like just they're bass players, that's why no one knows them. Yeah.
Oh, that's so true. Oh God.
The anonymous rock star. Love that.
I know.
That should be
carrying the team.
Title.
Yeah.
I mean, the only one is Johan, like the blind guy, who's an actual rock star because he's an actually like member of a rock band. Like all the other guys are hired guns as all the musicians, as session guys are. Yeah.
Yeah. I find that amazing. That he's such a good player, and I can barely play, and I can see like, wow, it's so impressive. Fair play. Would you say that there is a dream player to have on the channel, even just once? You know, who would you want to demo a bass?
It used to be Richard Bona, but I don't, not anymore. I don't know now. I think Joe Dart would be cool, just for. I mean, Mono Neon would be even cooler, but I'm not sure what to do with him. But Joe Dart, I think, is a safer bet to.
Well, Gregor, you're going to have to demo the new Joe Dart basses, I think, and who better to do it, right? So let's go.
Let's
I don't think you get a say with Mono Neon either. I think you just have to kind of like guide him into the room, like while he's moving around like some sort of tornado, and like just hand the lead to him. And be like, ah, and just let him like throwing it at like a wild animal, and then just be like, right, start filming quick. He's gonna do something.
Yeah.
And then just let him do his magic.
It's a bit like that. He's a very interesting personality and interesting, but yeah, he's somewhat on the spectrum somewhere, and not very easy to talk to, and working with him is very interesting, let's put it like this. But yeah, he's for me, I've said this before in videos, I think he's probably the most talented player in the world right now. You can't really see it, you can't really hear it because he's so out of like the norm, out of everything that we consider normal music. But I think he shines when he plays for other people, when he has to be a bass player, because with his own stuff he does like just all crazy. But when he's hired as a bass player, then he's so incredibly good, and I'm very much enjoying his work. And yeah, I mean he's a crazy, colorful guy. Yeah, and it's really cool, and has a cool whammy now.
That whammy pedal
thing is so cool.
I actually, I think yesterday or even this morning saw on TikTok like one of your videos about the Mono Neon whammy. And I remember just sitting there going, God, I would get fired from a gig so quickly with that pedal on a wedding gig. Like,
I mean, you can't think it. Yeah, but there's a lot of comments like this, but I never really understand it. I mean, people are so often apparently not able to see things in context, like put this where it belongs, and it's amazing. And there's a lot of comments of people who are not able to make this to separate art from work. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And who cares? Like, no one's. If you see a pedal that you don't like, or you can't see how it would work for you as a user, nobody's making you buy the pedal. Like, it's like I have no interest in owning the mono neon whammy. I personally see no use for it. For me, doesn't make it bad.
But it goes
just
3 octaves up.
Yeah. What more could you possibly ask for? It goes 3 octaves up.
Yeah.
You can be 2 octaves above the guitarist.
Yeah.
Finally.
Ultimate power.
Yeah.
And well, some people are just so set in their ways when it comes to gear, isn't it? Like some people are like, I'll have a P bass and a DI and that's it forever since the 60s. And you're like,
think of how much money you'll save. Brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean,
you don't have to comment on
it's fine. I would love to be like that, honestly. I would love to be very happy with very little. But like when you say this, like it kind of triggers me into like I got to read a lot of comments every day, like on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, and Facebook really has shifted. Like I don't really want to talk about it, but it's very noticeable that Facebook, like the comments, it's just nasty. It's just nasty. And we get a lot of, since there's so many different players in these videos, a lot of people who are following the page or see these clips don't really make the connection yet of what Bass the World is or what we are and what we do here. But there's so much. So I'm blocking like probably 10 people every single day just on Facebook, which is, and it's so weird just for, but I'm also like, I block quick. Like if you're leaving like a really nasty comment about appearances of players, especially like these sort of things, then you're gone. So
well, it's just not nice, is it? I think it's a weird,
necessary.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Like I think a lot of people are very happy to tell you how they feel, and you're entitled to, but that doesn't mean I have to hear it. Like I remember not too recently I did a little like this little short form video of the the Darkglass Kamos, the Amos Heller signature pedal, and the video starts. It's just the DI tone. It's just my Ernie Ball, the Ray 2, playing that. Yeah, sounds great. Turn it on. It's like the big nasty octave with all the drive. It's really cool. And literally, it was on, I don't know, like TikTok. It was on TikTok for less than a minute, and the first comment was literally, preferred the bypass tone. and I just replied to the guy going, good, I've saved you some money then.
No, absolutely.
I've just saved you €500. Yeah.
But once you're mentioning it, is this the best octaver in the world? What do you think? It is.
I like it. Johnny, I was very, very lucky. Johnny let me borrow it for like 2 days, and then I had to give it back to him. But I really, genuinely did not want to give it back. I thought it was a really good drive pedal. It's a really good octave pedal.
The drive is amazing.
Yeah,
and it goes like we did a video. Actually, I just got it from my editor like 2 hours ago. We did a test where René just goes down the fretboard and it just doesn't stop. Like you can play like it was a 4-string, the open E, and then he even tuned down the string to check
really well.
It tracks really well, and for, like my like this last sentence of the review of mine is, I think this is going to be the new standard for professionals for the next 10 years or something like that, because there's a lot of great octavers, but nothing that tracks like it. Nothing. And it's also versatile. No. It's not just like one octaver. It's different. It's for Darkglass. It's very unusual Darkglass thing, but I love to see where they're going with this and how good they are doing also these sort of things.
Darkglass are their best because they're like it shows how good at innovating they are and how good their engineers are. At creating real world solutions. And I want them to do more collaborations with people who are like, I've got this problem or I've got this idea, let's do it.
Yeah.
And it works great with other drive pedals as well. I've got it on my new pedal board next to the Big Booty Judy, which is a rat style drive from Backburner Noise. And
is this a cable?
It sounds even
with
the Jad Freer as well.
It's a really budget friendly pedal board, I think. It's a real beginner's board, that, Johnny. I mean, I can't talk. I literally take a quad Cortex everywhere. I am scum.
but it has a OC2 now, so
it does, and you know what? It's really interesting because the whatever they've done for the OC2 is really cool because, like with an OC2 style pedal, like I've got the smaller MXR vintage octave pedal as well, and that does it too. You can force the glitching into the pedal. Like if you depending on where your hand placement is, if you hit it and get like a bit of a higher harmonic, you can trick the octave pedal into going and it kind of like it'll glitch. And the same techniques that apply to the pedal work on the quad cortex as well. So you can trick it into tracking badly or very well. And it's really cool. It doesn't quite nail that sort of, when you take your dry signal completely out on an OC2 and you just have the octave down, and it's got that nice rounded tone that almost sounds like a Moog. The K-Mus does it really well. The one in the quad cortex, it gives you, it's more than fine for a gig. It's more than fine for like recording. But if you were like a purist and you're like, I need this to replicate my OC2, I don't think it does that, but it's more than fine for me.
No,
because the original octave in there is like a pog, and not a fan. Go on.
No. Speaking of things that from things we aren't a fan of to things we are a fan of, and that is our wonderful. That was a good segue, wasn't it? So smooth.
It was so good. It's so good when you do the segue and then you mention how good a segue it was.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's my thing.
Mid segue.
Yeah.
Mid segue. You ruined the segue by going, "Oh, that was a good segue, wasn't it?"
Hell yeah! Just grind the podcast to a halt. That's my job.
Look at me go.
Well, let's look at these people go now, because this is our wonderful tier 3 patrons who we will give a shout out to. Now I'm going to absolutely butcher their names as per. I've been on a roll recently. I'll give myself some
good
credit.
lately.
Yeah, but here we go. Shout out to Kim Littman, Frank Bethel, Travis Williams, Thomas Deans, Kaddish D. Radish, Eric Molyneux, Charles Johnson, Dean Gordon, Darren Hazelhurst, Jevons, Duncan Watson, Emily Gonzalez, Alan Wadey, Alexander Sean, Ethan Icon, I just took a breath, I didn't stumble, okay. Justin A, Jonas on bass, Yost Krohn, Mark W, and Brett Linkowski. Thank you so much to our tier 3 members. You are the best. Chris, would you like to quickly explain the benefits that these people get and the people at home could be getting if they became a tier 3 member?
Absolutely. So not only do you get all the extra bits that you get with tier 2, aka the Patreon exclusive section that we're going to do at the end of the episode with Gregor and all of our previous guests, you also get to enter our monthly giveaway where you can have some stuff, and stuff is great. Jonny, this is really cool because I just realized we haven't even spoken about this. So what are we going to give away for this month?
We are going to be giving away the Source Audio Zio, I think it's Zio, bass preamp. This is a really, really nifty and small, compact preamp. Really simple. It's got this nice focus control to control your low end. It's got a scoop switch. It's got a grit switch. What else could you want? This thing could be yours if you enter our giveaway by just becoming a tier 3 member, and that's what you do. We will be announcing it on socials and things like that coming up soon, but yeah, you guys are the first to know about it, so make sure you become a member and join our little crew of wonderful people. And that is all.
Really
that is
pedal.
all. Yeah, it is. It's fantastic, and I wish I had room to keep all of these pedals, because I would be very rude and never give them away. I'd be like, no, staying here. But yeah, someone's going to make some good use of this because it's fantastic. And speaking of things that are fantastic, Gregor, I want to talk now about Sandberg specifically. You mentioned a little bit before about your connections there and still kind of working with them now, but you did the ultimate thing a couple of years ago now by launching the Bass the World. 22, was it really? Oh my gosh. I remember when it was announced and I was like,
no, actually, I think it was even 21. No, it was 20. It doesn't matter, but I think it was 22, yeah.
Wow.
It should be. Wasn't a very exciting moment in my life also, yeah.
That's the dream, isn't it?
Understandably so.
Yeah.
So how did this conversation start? What was it based on? take us through the start of that conversation.
The conversation had been going on for years at this point, because I mean, you're probably familiar with my old Sandberg, which looks like the new signature model. I bought this in 2011, and it was so good that I kind of immediately went to Holger, like the Sandberg owner, like after months, and said, like, this is such a good bass. Do you know how good the bass this is? And we should kind of go somewhere with this. So this is it wasn't completely new in a way that when I was working in Frankfurt in the shop, we already made like limited series of these basses. Not like exactly like this, but they all had this Goto bridge, like a Fender style bridge, and these Klopman pickups, and they are completely passive, which none of these things were available from Sandberg as a option back then. It's just like a custom thing that you could only get if you asked really nicely or just knew the guy, which I did. So he built me like a bunch of these basses over the years for the shop. Then I bought, I think, 2 of those because I thought they were amazing, just amazing jazz basses. And then, yeah, I had, I think I had 3. And then one day, I mean, I've told this story before, but it's somewhere else here, so let's do it again. So one day I went to, this was before I had kids, before I was like had any like serious life commitment. So I was just young and could do whatever I wanted. So like at least once a month I went to Braunschweig where Sandberg's located. It's like 2.5 hours from where I was living back then. And just to visit Holger, to go out to drink at night and spend the night at the workshop and doing stuff, which just like whatever you do when you're young. So yeah, we got drunk and talked about basses and these sort of things. Was kind of, you were young. I mean, he's like a lot older, 20 years older than me, but it doesn't matter. We were younger than we are now. And at some point, I was just sitting in the workshop and he threw like a body at me of a bass that they just built just the body, like it had already had this the finish on the tobacco sunburst aging job was already done. He just threw this to me and it's like, check this out, and it was incredibly light because Sandbergs used to be kind of heavy basses like 10-15 years ago. They used all European woods which tend to be heavier. European ash and European alder is a lot heavier compared to the American versions, for example. And so I was amazed how light this bass is. Swamp bass is always American. So that was just a very light bass. And I was like, I think I would like to have a light Sandberg. So can I buy this? Can I get this? So, and he said, sure, whatever. And then I went to the assembly, to the room where all the machines are and all the dirty stuff happens and all the dusty stuff happens. And they had like a roof or like a ceiling with just necks, like 50 necks at the ceiling or something like that. All kind of pre-finished. And back then, Sandberg did a lot of things still by hand, which are now mainly done with CNC, a lot more accurate nowadays. But back then, things had to be fitted to each other. So I grabbed all the necks, and all the neck shapes were made by hand. So that means every neck felt kind of a little bit different. So I just touched them all, and I was like, oh, this feels really nice. And then grabbed it, was a maple neck, maple fretboard. And I said, okay, if these 2 things make them a bass for me. And I think it took like half a year later. I got the bass, and I was like, okay, that's the bass now. So I played it like night and day, and then over not too much time, I sold my other Sandbergs, which was very similar to this bass, but just not as close, or not, just didn't. It's just not the same. Something about this bass is incredibly good, and I was never sure if it was just like a one-off thing, which sometimes it just happens that you have things that resonate together because there's a mass thing or something that's just a little bit magic, probably, that just makes a bass work incredibly well. And but as I found out over the years, it's not really. Like, if you know what you want, and you know when you have people who can do this and they know what they're doing, you can very precisely make this bass as awesome as this one. Because now I think actually the new one is better. Like the Bass the World bass. Like the first one, which is not the first one, but the first which looks exactly like my old one. I prefer this over the old bass now. I think I like the neck more and these sort of things. But yeah, that's basically how this came to be, like how the first bass was built. And then I came back to horror. And do you know Marlowe Decay? Does this still ring a bell? Very Marlowe Decay guy from, you've definitely seen him, guy from Denmark. He made bass lessons, but I think he never talked in his videos. He just took a riff, played it in normal speed, and then very slow, and then even slower as you could learn the riff. And he was bass player of the first hour on YouTube. Like, he was the first legit bass player on YouTube. He's also a Sandberg endorser for a long time. There's the Marlowe Decay, or the Marlove, it's what it's written, DK, like for Denmark. So he had a signature model, and as soon as this came out, I kind of started to ask Holger and say, like, I know someone else who has a YouTube channel and who has a Sandberg bass, and who actually has a YouTube channel that's growing so much faster than Marlowe DK. But he was never convinced. I don't know. I don't know. He was never convinced to do it. But what happened over the years, so we're talking like 10 years after this last conversation, just the emails, because we're using this bass in all our videos, like all the time, pedal demos and amp demos, it's in all these videos. And I get like literally emails and Facebook, whatever, and all kinds of messages on all the platforms every day of people asking about this bass. What is this bass? What's the manufacturer? What's the specs? And why is it this way? Why does it sound so good? And how can I mod mine to sound like this? And so I'm not even forwarding these emails because I've kind of given up at this point. But of course he also got these emails. So because he's Sandberg, like he's the Sandberg guy. So he also gets these emails like of people who realize that it's a Sandberg. So they ask him, what's the space? Can I buy this too? So once we got to talk about the signature model, it wasn't actually that hard anymore because he knew that there's actual interest. That this is not just like me hyping myself or the bass or whatever, which I wouldn't do. But this bass is so good. I didn't even care to be like a signature model. I just wanted to be like the thing that people can buy. And but at the end, of course, it became his bass to build model. And we worked on it for a year. I got the first prototype like a few months before that, and since it's not so different from regular Sandberg. So there wasn't like an intense prototyping phase because we knew exactly what's going to happen and what I wanted. So I wanted an exact replica of the bass in the new design. Of course, Sandberg has changed design in the meantime. The California became less Fender and more like a slimmer, lighter bass. In 2015, they changed the entire series. And you also can't get the old design anymore, which is understandable. So this one change that had to happen with the space, and otherwise. And then I sat down with Klopman and developed the pickup set a little bit further because he also updated the set in the meantime, and so we mixed from two different jazz bass sets the pickups which sound fantastic together, which might also be the reason why this new Sandberg is probably better than the old one, because it also got the updated pickups. And I mean, it's just absolute dream come true. The only thing that he didn't allow me to do is like the controls without the knob covers, which I have on all my old basses because I used to turn them all the time, like these Fender jazz basses. When you play a bit more intense, my hand just always touches these, and like when it's volume, it's just terrible. You're turning the volume without, like, unintentionally, which is just sad. So, but he insisted on these sales models. They would have to have real knobs. So that's but it's
real
fine.
knobs. Who'd have them?
Yeah.
Wow.
but and what, like, the whole thing turned to, in 2022, I flew to Chicago to some bass day where they wanted to basically release the bass. And like Mark Najar is also working for Sandberg at this point. So he organized this event also. So he's one of my closest friends. He got me there. And that was for me like a first time in the US was amazing. And launching my own signature bass from a major German brand. I mean, I was as proud as anyone can be. And after like 1 or 2 months, I got a call from one of the office guys from Sandberg, and he told me that this was by far the most successful signature model launch they ever had. There have never been so many orders for anything when they launched something new, and it's still doing well. We're in year 3 now, and still selling. So, and it's a really expensive bass for a Sandberg because of these very expensive pickups. So, yeah, I'm not surprised because I know why this bass is so good. But on the other hand, I'm a bit surprised how well this is going and how many people are enjoying it. But yeah, we're constantly advertising it. It's still in all the videos, so I mean, you can't not know it. Kind of, yeah. It helps.
Absolutely.
If you want to sell something.
Yeah. And every version of it is just so beautiful, I think, and just like you say, just sounds perfect. For like a passive jazz bass, it's like exactly what you want. And I'm a big Sandberg fan, and I've still not tried one though. So one day I'll try and get my hands on one because I always hear such amazing things.
They're not so easy to find. That's they're kind of because Sandberg is so over their head with all the production. Like they're getting so many orders that they just can't fulfill it. So there's a 2-year waiting list on every Sandberg, which is kind of a bit annoying for me because I would like to do like versions and I would like to do like cool custom series and custom colors, and they're always like, not now, like ask again in 10 years or something. I'm not really like that.
Paint it yourself, mate. Paint it yourself.
No, yeah, but almost like that. We're working on a 5-string, which was supposed to come out, I think, last year. So, but I still haven't even tried to get a prototype at this point. So because which I'm not shaming them at all. I know I'm part of the problem because I'm artist relations manager, and I give them like when all the artists order their bases, these go through me, these orders. I see these orders coming in, and this is just a small fraction of what the shops and all the other like the rest of the world orders. So they're busy, which is good. So, but I mean there are other options, and actually there's I guess it's not really a secret anymore. There's another bass very similar to the Sandberg bass coming out from a different brand, very different price point, very affordable, and that's my idea of conquering that issue. That Sandberg is a bit stiff in these sort of things because they have to be. They can't move fast and break things, which I would love to do. And so there are other companies who can. And I think this year for Guitar Summit, there will be the launch of the 2 new bassable basses from Harley Benton.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. You heard it here first. Thanks for telling us.
Really,
Well, I heard it here first.
I also heard it here first, which means everyone heard it here first.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really
I'm
exciting.
Super excited about that. Yeah, and I can't really hide it because I met the Harley Benton guys and Kloppmann. We sat together for a meeting at Guitar Summit last year, and like I think on the same day I got like a text from a guy, just a random guy. I saw you. I know what you're doing. Because it's very obvious if you know what Kloppmann looks like, what I look like, and you can count 1 and 2 together, you know what happened on this day at this meeting. But yeah, I'm super excited about this because Sandberg's absolutely fine with it. So this was of course very important to do this upfront, to have a conversation, say, hey, I would like to do another jazz tape bass type of thing with Harley Benton, and is this okay for you? And we changed it around. It's not the Sandberg bass, the world bass and cheap. It's different. It's more like a 60s jazz bass sort of thing. And Rosewood neck also, which is like bass world bass is all maple necks with maple fretboard. So this is Rosewood now. But yeah, this will be huge, and I can't wait. Yeah.
So exciting, man. That's going to be awesome. Right. Speaking of exciting, we are now going to move on to our next section, Gregor, where we're going to put you in the hot seat and kind of send some quick fire questions to you before we sign off on the podcast. All right. So these are one word answer questions. Okay. So Chris, have you got the list up in front of you, and would you like to kick things off?
Yes, I would love to. Again, like we said, all you can do is answer the question. There is no room for elaboration or justification for your answers.
Okay.
Exactly. Question 1. Pick or fingers?
Finger.
Question 2. Active or passive?
Pass.
Question 3, rounds or flats?
Rounds.
Question 4, 4-string or 5?
Definitely 4.
Definitely 4.
Sorry for the 2 words, but I had to.
That's all right. That's all right. We'll let it slide on this occasion. Question 5. Now, this will obviously depend if you gig a lot or not, but would you rather have in-ear monitors or would you rather be on wedges?
I think in year.
Number 6 is P bass or J bass?
That's brutal. But P-bass. But just today, P-bass. Yeah.
Just today. Okay.
Just
today. Very well.
All right, we'll accept that.
Number 7, desert island bass.
My P-bass. Like the Division D.
It's totally fair.
You said that so politely as well.
Yeah.
If that's okay.
Yeah. Number 8, what is the best bass effect?
Octaver. I think Octaver. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
The octave
Number
pedals are slow
9.
grow on me. Slow growth.
I'm coming around slowly. It's conveniently. Question number 9. We'd like an unpopular bass opinion or like a hot take. And like to give you an example, like a while ago, Jonny said octave is overrated.
But then I got the K-Mos.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I have one, but it's not really controversial, but it is today, apparently, because of the internet. Woods really make a difference. Like, they sound different, surprisingly. That's controversial to say today, for some reason.
The tone wood debate never ends.
Yeah.
It never ends, whether you like it or not. Okay, very well.
Just a quick one on that. Which is your favourite wood for bass then? Like, what would you choose?
It can't be answered this simple because it's always a combination. It's never really just one wood. But if I had to pick just one, it's maple. Like there are a bunch of old maple basses, like old Spectres, which sound absolutely amazing. Yeah. So if it's just one, then it's maple. Yeah.
I'm a maple neck guy, 100%.
Yeah.
I like a maple neck. I definitely like a maple neck. But it's not about me, Jonny.
Really? Oh.
The last question now, Gregor. Are you a Star Wars fan?
I'm not a fan, but I'm aware of the franchise.
Is there I'm going to change this question then. Is there a particular like pop culture thing that you're interested in or that you're quite nerdy about? So like Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, like a franchise.
Oh, nerdy, I don't know. How many times do you have to watch something to qualify as a nerd? I like some shows like Dexter. I really love Dexter. That's something I can watch again and again and really enjoy. I don't know, but like these fantasy sort of things, it's not really my. I mean, I enjoy Game of Thrones and even these sort of things, but it's like the show I think that got to me the most and I've made me feel the most was Dexter, definitely.
Well, may I steal the question, Jonny?
Sure.
Of course, go for it.
What bass would Dexter play? And I will allow you to elaborate.
I mean, he's a simple guy, definitely some sort of jazz bass, key bass sort of thing. He's living there. It's all in Florida, I think.
Yep. Florida.
So look, maybe even something like a Mustang short scale. This is kind of something like that.
You heard it here first. If you own a short scale Mustang, you are a serial killer. Lovely.
Most definitely. Good. I sold mine.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Convenient. Anyway. Fantastic. Well, Gregor, thank you so much for putting up with us for this last hour or so, and thank you for blessing us with your presence on this podcast. It's absolutely flown by, and I've learned so much just from this session. Like we said earlier on, if anybody, if you like what you heard and you want to support the podcast even more, you can do so in a plethora of ways. First of which, the main one is, of course, going to patreon.com/In the Pocket Podcast, where you can choose one of our tiers, tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3. The top tier is when you get entered into the giveaways and also get the exclusive content that we're about to film after we hit stop on here. Tier 2, you get just the exclusive content. And then on the first tier is just like a little tip jar. If you want to give us like £1 a month or some money that you wouldn't see falling out of your pocket, and you'd like it to go to us, then you can do just that. You can also help us out by rating this podcast 5 stars on your listening platform of choice, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Make sure you rate us 5 stars. It really helps us to reach more and more people out there. And last but not least, of course, you can follow us on all of our platforms, that being YouTube. If you're watching our beautiful faces on here, you can go and like this video and hit subscribe. Just helps us grow even more. And also go and follow us over on Instagram at In the Pocket Pod as well. Chris, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me literally everywhere under That Guy on Bass. Nice and easy. Jonny, where can the good people find you?
You can find me at Jonny Dibble on YouTube and on Instagram, baby. And of course, last but not least, Gregor, where can people find you? What should the good people be doing?
Just type in bass on Google and we will appear at some point.
Yeah, what a flex.
The bass
No,
gods.
but it's just bass the world. Anywhere where your kids and your parents are. Even on TikTok now, we have these kind of people. Yeah.
Fantastic. Absolutely
Getting
going to
down
do
with
it.
the kids.
Amazing channel, amazing content. Love everything you guys do. And yeah, just thank you for everything you do. Thank you for being here. And thank you, everyone at home, for watching. We'll see you next time.
Yeah.
That's
Bye.
right.
Bye.